It's the Pioneer 100 podcast, where we celebrate the history of Pioneer and look forward to the future. I'm your host, Max Armstrong, and in this week's episode, we look at the Pioneer sales representative model and other firsts to better serve farmers. Hello, everyone. I'm Max Armstrong, welcoming you to our Pioneer 100 podcast, the sixth edition, our final edition, as we wrap up this series of the interesting story of Pioneer over the decades, 10 of them, as a matter of fact, as we're going to visit about the Pioneer sales representative here in this final episode. Lance Gibson, Agronomy Training Manager, joining us here, and Scott Walker, Pioneer Customer Experience Leader. Thank you both for setting aside some time for us. We sure appreciate it. Lance, I want to start with you. We've spent these 5 episodes talking about the many firsts and innovations that have connected Pioneer, its brand, over the past century. One of Pioneer's most enduring firsts really isn't a piece of technology that we're going to be talking about over the next few minutes. It's a way of doing business. So tell us why Pioneer's groundbreaking farmer-salesman model came about, how it actually developed and came to this point, Lance.
Well, in the early 1900s, the seed corn market here in the Corn Belt was pretty mature. So farmers could save seed from the open pollinated varieties that they would plant, and then they could buy that seed as well of different varieties. Here in Iowa, there were more than 40 different seed company catalogs, and then around the surrounding states, there were numerous catalogs as well. And so in those catalogs, a company might sell 8 to maybe even as many as 20 different open pollinated varieties. So it was pretty crowded, and when Henry A. Wallace, who created Pioneer, he wanted to sell Copper Cross, which was the first cross that he commercialized. He went to the Iowa Seed Company here in Des Moines to sell that through their catalog. When hybrid corn came along, and the Hybrid Corn Company was founded in 1926, they still relied on the Iowa Seed Company to sell the seed. They made some agreements with a couple of other seed catalog companies, as well as they sold directly out of their plant here in Johnston, Iowa. But from 1926 to 1931, growth was pretty slow. So in 1931, they sold about 1,870 bushels of seed corn. That's only about enough to plant maybe a little more than 10,000 acres. So it was really slow at first, and farmers could see locally when they had experience with hybrid corn how good it was, but the wider farmer community didn't know about hybrid corn yet, really. And so what changed that was in the 1930s, a couple of key people, Nelson Urban, who was with the Hybrid Corn Company, and then Roswell Garst, who became quite famous in the 1950s, his relationship with Khrushchev. He instigated some of this as well. Roswell Garst is a Coon Rapids farmer. He lived in Des Moines for a time and got to know Henry A. Wallace. They were in some of the same social circles. And Nelson Urban, who was one of the first couple of employees of the Hybrid Corn Company, the two of them together created a farmer-salesman model that really didn't exist before Garst came up with it, and Wallace and Urban helped him refine it. Of course, Garst formed the Garst and Thomas Seed Company. He was a distributor of Pioneer in western Iowa and in some western states, as well as Missouri. Nelson Urban, he built this model in Iowa, more in the eastern and northern parts of Iowa, and then into Minnesota and South Dakota. So the two of them together really built out this model where they had farmers that grew the hybrid seed of a Hybrid Corn Company, and then in 1935, when the name changed to Pioneer, the Pioneer bag, they would provide samples to farmers, and then they would pick out the ones in the community that were really well respected, and they would ask them to work part-time as exclusive sellers of Pioneer.
How did this model really catch on then over the years and continue up to this day?
So in the 1940s, there were some studies that were done at Iowa State to look at the adoption of hybrid corn, and two things stood out. The first knowledge of hybrid corn came from salesmen, but the influence to plant hybrid corn and to adopt it on the farm is 100% of what a farmer was planting came from neighbors. And so I think that really shows the importance of that pioneer farmer-salesman model, where the salesman part had the knowledge, but the farmer part, they grew that seed of hybrid corn on their farm and could show that it was superior to the open pollinated varieties. In a couple of ways, of course, they did a lot of weighing, which hadn't been done a lot previous to that. So that was innovative, but also the hybrid corn stood so much better. So when you think about a farmer back then, they would harvest corn by hand. Average lodging was 30%. Lots of times the open pollinated varieties, whole fields would be down. So you think about a farmer trying to pick corn in October and November and bending over, stooping over. I mean, it was a really tiring job. So they were really impressed with how it stood. And so they could talk to their neighbors about that. So as a part of that, they really became trusted advisors, which is what our pioneer sales reps do today. They're a trusted advisor with their customers on our products, and so it really set Pioneer apart. It was a new model and really became the industry standard. And even today, it's amazing how so much of what we do today started back there in the 1930s.
Man, you made me think about that era when we were harvesting with a husking peg. I have my dad's. I mean, you put that thing on it, it's just, you can't imagine spending a whole day, stalk by stalk, ear by ear. Scott, as we take a look at this sales representative model and think about those early years, how has it stayed true to the original blueprint, the model that we have today out there, the people we know in the countryside?
Yeah, thanks for being here first and foremost, Max. Appreciate you being on campus. I think we visited earlier. It's your first time here on the Pioneer campus here in Johnston, Iowa, so appreciate that. And to go back to our sales rep model and where we're at today compared, I think Lance touched on it as part of that trusted advisor. I mean, Pioneer locally in the local communities is first and foremost is going to be farmer first, farmer friendly. We're going to be that trusted advisor. And you think about the technology today in 2026 versus what it was in 1926 and hand harvesting, et cetera. These trusted advisor, our Pioneer sales reps, they're the technical advisor as well. They're working with these growers when they're setting their planters or calibrating their combine monitors, et cetera, and everything in between. Scouting their fields, doing stand counts, drone imagery. I mean, all of those things combined, we didn't think about 100 years ago, and we're on the forefront of all the new innovation, the new technology, and we got to have our local trusted advisors, which our Pioneer reps are. I mean, the majority of them, over 70% of them, are farmers themselves. As Lance indicated, back in the 30s and 40s, they were testing the varieties on their own farms. They're still doing that today. We're still planting Pioneer products, or those Pioneer sales representatives are planting Pioneer products on their farms so that they can make better recommendations to the growers when they're planting field by field of what those products are going to do and how they're going to do on growers' farms today. So, like I said, over 70% of them, but we do have probably over 1,700 of them across the main corn growing regions, or across the Midwest, essentially from Pennsylvania East Coast out to Colorado. We do have in the Southeast U.S., we've got a little bit different model. It's more of a retail route to market, but we do have trusted advisors with our Pioneer representations, whether our field agronomists, our retail account managers. We have field agronomists across the Midwest and throughout the corn growing regions as well. So there's many different avenues that folks are working with growers to make sure that those growers have profitability on their farm, because first and foremost, that's what matters, a farmer first mentality. And I would say the majority of our employees have either grew up on farms, or went to ag or studied ag in college, so they all have that knowledge and something that takes them back to the farm locally.
I've been to a sales rep's field day, or his dinner, I guess I would call it, late in the summertime, and there's a lot of exchange of information that takes place there that he shares, with his farmer customers. But it's Pioneer specific. It's a Pioneer brand. He's dedicated to it. What's the value of that?
So yeah, the value of being the exclusive Pioneer, I mean, it's almost a two-front thing. I mean, when number one is when that grower sees this, the Pioneer sales rep driving down the driveway, he or she knows what they're there for. They're there to sell Pioneer to them. Exclusive, all of our agents have signed exclusivity agreements so that they know that they're only going to be selling Pioneer products. It's a premium product when they pull down the driveway. But then it's also exclusive genetics, because if it's in a Pioneer bag, it's only found in a Pioneer bag. I mean, we're sitting right here in one of our main R&D buildings here on the Johnston campus. We have a global research facilities across the globe, but everything is tested locally. So the grower can feel comfortable that when he or she is planting a Pioneer product, that it was tested right down the road, and 9 times out of 10 is probably tested on one of our Pioneer sales representatives' farms.
Lance, how does that sales representative bridge the gap today between that boots on the ground approach that we've thought about through the years and this high-tech era that we have now with new data, new information coming forward?
Yeah, so agriculture is rapidly changing, and we all see that. And one of the pieces is data. There's data overload in some regards, and so really it's important for that Pioneer rep to help their customers be able to digest that data and make good decisions from it, especially as it relates to our products. And so we have a lot of efforts within Pioneer to help our reps do that. We provide them with software solutions for that as well, to help their customers. And so that's a big piece of what we're doing. But go back, just the essentials of agronomy are important as well. And as more and more people get removed from the farm, we have less and less people that have that what I would call indigenous knowledge. And so we spend a lot of time and effort with our reps so that they understand the essentials of agronomy to get started and really to help people pick as well as place products in the right place, right product, right acre approach. And as we move forward, that's going to continue to be important. If you look at the yields continue to increase, and that comes from both genetics as well as management. And we're kind of getting into a phase here where it's really the knowledge of how that management applies to each product and in different environments that's really important. And we really haven't had the tools to manage that way before, but we're getting them now. There's been a long history in Pioneer of our growers and our customers getting advice from our reps on crop management to help them maximize the profit from our products. And that's going to continue well into the future.
One thing you referenced there is the data overload, the information overload that we have today. And I gather from you, Lance, you're saying that Pioneer sales representative is a good source for sorting, if you'll pardon the expression, the grain from the chaff, helping get the vital information that producer needs.
Yes, they are. And within Pioneer, we are creating through our research and development programs, as well as our commercial agronomists, tools where we can help distill that information. So we can remove the data that's not useful or may have error in it, and then we can take that cleaned up data and we can analyze that here through our scientists in Pioneer, and then that allows the rep to get actionable data. And that's very important, because one of the things that's held back some of the precision ag is just what do you do with all this data? And so we've kind of internalized that piece, so the grower and the rep doesn't have to do that piece. We can do it internally and provide them with good actionable insights.
Scott, as we come down to the final minutes here of our Pioneer 100 series, wrapping up these 6 episodes, and looking all to the first that we've talked about, I guess I would ask you, where do we go now? What does the future look like? Do a little crystal ball gazing as we summarize.
Yeah, looking into the crystal ball, I want to look forward, but I want to take an opportunity and look backwards first. I mean, we're sitting here 100 years later. I don't think that Henry probably even realize that we would be at where we're at today. I mean, you think about from the early hybrids of 307 and 354 into 3780 and 3394 in the early 90s. But then the introduction of biotech and gene editing and some of the new things and the new advancements in technology that we're looking forward to and working with today into the 2000s with our Aquamax products and really the double haploid inbred system. I mean, compared to where Henry was at when they developed and started the hybrid seed corn company or the hybrid corn company back in 1926, which is now Pioneer. I mean, nobody probably would have thought that's where we're at. So where are we going to be at in the next 100 years? Who knows? I mean, it's wide open with the advancements of AI and being able to take all that data that Lance was referring to and generate it and kick out information so fast. It just really kind of speeds things up. And I do know probably for certain that we're probably going to continue with our Pioneer sales rep model. I mean, the backbone of this company, the backbone of Pioneer is our Pioneer sales reps who are the boots on the ground, the folks who are in the local communities, the folks who give back to the local communities. They work there every day. They are the face of Pioneer locally. So rest assured, I mean, they will be there, and AI is not going to replace a Pioneer sales representative going forward. But one thing that we'll continue to do and was developed in the 1950s was the Pioneer long look and the vision of where we're going to put the farmer first, and really all decisions that we make, it has to be the right thing for the farmer as we move forward into the next 100 years, if you will.
One thing that strikes me as we wrap up this series, having visited with you and your colleagues, I admire the sense of heritage that you have and that you respect for this company that has such a rich heritage. But it places a real responsibility on you too, does it not, to keep going forward and to reflect further into the future just what has been built behind you?
Yeah.
It does, Max. I live close to campus here on some original land where some of the first seed production was done for hybrids. So I have a deep connection through Pioneer as well as living in this neighborhood. And, I equate what happened here with Henry A. Wallace to some other things we learned about in school. Edison and the light bulb, the Wright brothers in flight, Henry Ford and creating automobiles that were affordable to the masses. Henry A. Wallace did those kind of things here, and it's often not recognized, even in our own community, how important it is. And I just recently came across something from Nelson Urban, who we talked about earlier, where he talked about this site as possibly being the best in the world to start this, and it all happened by accident because Henry A. Wallace's father bought some land out here with money that he made from Wallace's farmer, and that's why this site became really the global headquarters of the corn industry. And so, yeah, there's some big shoes to fill there and a lot of good heritage.
Yeah, and I would echo what Lance said. I mean, I've lived here in this community for over 23 years now and born and raised on a Pioneer seed production farm in eastern Iowa. I believe that plant celebrated 92 years or will celebrate 92 years this year. My grandfather and father were both seed corn growers for that plant. So, yeah, it's got a little history.
Lance, Scott, we appreciate it so much. A treat to visit with you, and thank you for helping wrap up our Pioneer 100 series.
Thank you, Max.
And thank you, folks, for joining us. We appreciate the time you've given us.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Pioneer 100 podcast. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the rich history of Pioneer and its connection to the agriculture of tomorrow. Visit pioneer.com/100 to learn more.